As I've spoken about in the past, slow corners aren't the favoured type of corner for many riders because of the difficulties they bring to the table. However, in certain corners, like hairpins, they can be the source of a fair bit of time if you approach them in the right way. In this video, we're going to take a look at how we get speed from hairpins, as well as how you should be approaching them to get the most out of them. Let's kick this off by looking at the key to speed in hairpins. Many learning riders will believe that in order to go faster, they simply need to carry more speed through all the corners and the lap times will come tumbling down. Now, that is true to some degree, but as a blanket plan across all situations as you progress, there'll come a point where that plan becomes flawed, and hairpins will be one of the first places this becomes true. Because you spend so little time in the middle of hairpins, the key to speed is actually getting into them quickly and exiting them quickly. If you try to be too greedy with the speed in the middle of the corner by trying to run more and more speed in, you're likely going to end up hurting your overall speed through the whole section, most likely because you're going to start spoiling your exit line as you run too wide, preventing you from driving out of the corner as early as you could. Really, your focus should be on how you get to the middle of the corner as quickly as possible and how you get away from that point quickly too. So how is that achieved? First, let's look at lines and bike control. This is a common and effective line through hairpins that have straights before and after them. Because we have a straight after it, acceleration out of the corner is important. And this line means you can stand the bike up at an ideal time without sacrificing a lot of speed at corner entry. This line also relies on a shallower approach, which will let you begin to utilize trail braking into the corner. Less trail braking will mean you'll take a slightly more looped route to the apex, which is the blue line here. More trail braking and you'll likely approach the corner closer to the inside curb on the red line. With an early entry point and slower steering rate, you're giving yourself more opportunity to use the brakes as you enter the corner, ultimately meaning you can brake later and carry more speed toward the corner. In my personal opinion, you shouldn't be looking to flick the bike over very quickly in corners like this, because this approach will mean you need to steer too wide and late. And this is going to cost you time going into the corner where you could otherwise trail brake deeper into it. Throttle timing is a key component too, and this is an area where I see a lot of riders making mistakes, particularly in corners that come right back on themselves like hairpins do. Many riders are simply too eager to get back on the throttle in the middle of the corner before the line is properly set for the apex and exit. If you do get back to the throttle too soon, you'll have a tough time getting the bike back to the inside and hitting your apex. Instead, you need to learn to be patient, staying off the throttle to let the bike continue to slow down and hook around onto your desired line. Only when you're sure you're on the line you want can you then crack the throttle and start your usual throttle routine. You'll be amazed at just how much more consistently you can hit apexes when you learn this lesson for yourself. So what about vision? You can't see your apex on your approach, so you must judge your line to the inside curb. With tight hairpins like this, you typically won't meet the inside of the track going in, though it can be seen in racing situations or if the hairpin has a large enough radius. Because of this, it means you can't actually see your clipping point until you're well into the corner. So going in, you must focus on the area where you want to put the bike and judge your line relative to the inside of the track. Once you get deeper into the corner and you can see your apex, you focus on it until you're sure you're going to hit it, which will massively help your throttle timing, and then you switch your vision to the exit in the normal way. And finally, a quick word on body position changes. There aren't really any changes to the technique you're trying to use through hairpins, but there are changes in terms of how things feel. As I discussed in my video on why slower corners are harder, getting into a typical hang-off position does feel more difficult in slower corners, so you must be wary of your grip on the bars through tight and slow corners like this. If you feel your grip on the bars is excessive, consider using a slightly more modest body position so that you can do a better job fundamentally from a body position point of view. Don't be surprised if your position is a little worse in corners because of these reasons. Consider the space you have. Like I said, when these corners are tight, the key is to get into them and out of them quickly. However, things do begin to change when you're presented with more space. The inside curb may be tight, but more space means you can make corner speed a higher priority. If the curb on the inside is tight but there's more space on the entry and exit of the corner, then the radius of the curb you can carry through that corner gets larger, meaning higher achievable corner speeds. Now, this doesn't mean making corner speed the priority. It simply means the corner speed becomes a bigger factor and something you can take advantage of. To close this out, in truth, I wouldn't normally tell riders to focus too much on hairpins when looking for speed around the track because there's typically other, easier ways to find speed. However, as you get more experience and you begin to tap into the potential of the bike in different ways, they can become a good source of speed to find relative to other riders if you aren't approaching them correctly to begin with. Take the advice I've given here and you'll likely find a bit of speed in them too. How do you get on with hairpins, and have you had any revelations yourself? Tell us about it in the comments down below, and if you liked the video then please hit the button and subscribe to the channel for more performance riding advice and guides moving forward. Take care.